Today we're going to develop initial mindfulness of breathing. Mindfulness of breathing is using the sensations that arise as the breath moves through our body as an object of meditation. When cultivating mindfulness of breathing, we're using the second level of mindfulness. So in earlier talks, we discussed these 3 levels of mindfulness. The first level of mindfulness is remembering this is what I am doing now. So remembering that you're just sitting here, remembering that you're meditating. The second level of mindfulness is remembering this is what I am experiencing now. This is my experience of just sitting here. This is my experience of this breath as it comes in and as it goes out. The third level of mindfulness is remembering this is how I'm relating to what I'm experiencing now. And this relationship to what we're experiencing is a higher level of mindfulness meditation practice. In the previous weeks, when we developed mindfulness of body or mindfulness of what it felt like just to sit here, our foundation for our meditation practice, we were actually practicing that first level of mindfulness. We were practicing the ability to remember, this is what I'm doing now. What am I doing? I'm sitting here meditating. We're putting effort towards remembering that we're meditating. We're also putting effort towards noticing whenever we forgot, whenever we wandered off into the mind-created thinking world. And this is a little game that we play as meditators. Now when we're moving into mindfulness of breathing, we need to bring in this second level of mindfulness, the level of remembering this is what I am experiencing now. So let's first start out by discussing the basic foundation for our mindfulness of breathing. And then what we'll do is we'll bring it together with the earlier instructions and create the format for our meditation practice. Yeah, or the structure for our meditation practice. Okay. The first thing to understand when practicing mindfulness of breathing is that you cannot experience your breathing. Yeah, that's right. What we experience is the sensations that arise as the breath touches our body. As the breath is drawn into your body, there's different sensations created. Maybe warmth or coolness or pressure at the tip of your nose. Maybe you'll feel the experience of movement within your body. Maybe you might feel pressure as your body expands and relaxation as your body contracts. All of these can be said to be associated with the experience of breathing. But all of them are really mindfulness of body, or the mindfulness of the experience of breath as it moves throughout our body. When we approach mindfulness of breathing, we're going to use those 2 levels of mindfulness. The first one is the mindfulness of remembering this is what I'm doing now, or this is what's happening now. Yeah? Okay. So let's go back to our structure. You sit down, aware of sounds around you, of what it feels like just to sit here. You allow your mind to settle. And then you gradually bring awareness into your body, just very slowly. Warmth in your body, coolness, touch of the hands, touch of the body, just sitting here. Whatever is present to you is okay. You don't need to go looking for anything. Instead, just be aware of what it feels like to sit here. Keep that experience in mind, and then you can use some slow softening breaths. Soften, relax into your body until you become very, very present. Now, during last week's lesson, we then discussed how to transition into initial mindfulness breathing. So we're very present in our body. We take some softening breaths, we relax. And then we slowly breathe out, we relax and wait. And we wait for the breath to draw in autonomously by itself. And when that breath draws in, you just be aware of the experience of that breath. Just feel that breath coming within your body. Now, wherever the breathing appears to you is okay. You don't have to locate the breath at the tip of your nose, at your chest, in your belly. The important thing here is clarity, is having something that is easy for you to be aware of. So not judging where the breath should be, but just initially tuning into that movement. That's all you need. That movement of the breath. And then focus on one aspect, just one. See if you can know whether this is an in-breath or whether it is an out-breath. Just that simple. There's something that tells you that the breath is coming in. And there's something that will tell you that the breath is going out. See if you can tune into that something. Let's just try it together. Closing your eyes over lightly. Just tuning into what it feels like just to sit here. Opening awareness wide, being aware of sounds around you. And allowing that flow, that change within the sound to hold your attention. And starting to bring mindfulness to the front of your mind. A posture of remembering. Just remembering that you're sitting here meditating. This first level of mindfulness. And as you settle down, you start to gradually bring your awareness into your body. The experience of just sitting here. Tuning into the experience of warmth, of coolness, remembering them. Gradually becoming aware of the touch of your hands, and the pressure of your body resting on the chair, on the floor. Becoming very present. And taking a few softening breaths as we trained earlier, and gently breathing in from your belly, bring the breath up to the top of your chest. Slowly out, softening, relaxing into just sitting here. Slow, gentle breaths. Becoming very present. Remembering you're sitting here. Now slowly breathe out, relax and wait, and allow the breathing to draw in by itself. Just aware of that flow of breath as it draws into your body. Picking that one point where the breath is most clear to you. Just aware in a general way of that flow of breath within your body, not focusing in closely at this time, but instead observing your breathing from the outside of your body. Just observing the movement of the breath as a flow within your body. Remembering it. Remembering this is what you're doing now. Start to notice, is there something that tells you when the breath is coming in and when the breath is going out? Just focus on knowing this is an in-breath and knowing this is an out-breath. Holding that knowing the breath is coming in and knowing the breath is going out in mind very gently, remembering it. Okay, you can gently open your eyes now. Well done. So is it possible to feel your breathing moving within your body? It is? Yeah, wonderful. And also, is it possible to know when the breath is coming in and to know when it's going out? Can you see what I'm talking about here? There's some aspect of the experience that tells us this is an in-breath, and another that tells us this is an out-breath. And we don't get confused between the two, do we? You can just know in-breath, out-breath. So where before in the beginning of our meditation practice, we were remembering, I'm just sitting here. I'm just sitting in the room. That's all I'm doing. Yeah? Cultivating that mindfulness of remembering this is what I'm doing now. Now, when we move on to mindfulness of breathing, we're cultivating the ability to remember what is happening now, but on a changing object. Because we're sitting here is just sitting here. This is what it feels like to sit here. With the breath, we have a moving target, as it were. And it takes more accuracy, it takes stronger mindfulness to stay with that changing nature of the breath, to notice these two aspects. Now, what you'll probably find is that you'll wander off more when practicing mindfulness of breathing. And of course, that's perfectly okay, because what we're doing here is we're not trying to stop the wandering, because this is mindfulness meditation. It's a wisdom practice. What we're doing is we're just developing the ability to observe our mind in its natural state, to notice when it does wander, and to skillfully use that to our advantage, to skillfully use that noticing to develop mindfulness, to develop momentary concentration, and to develop understanding of the true nature of the mind. To help ourselves do this at this stage of the meditation practice, what we can use, and we can use a simple label. And a label is an intentional thought used to describe what we're experiencing now. And this has two purposes. First one, it brings awareness to the object of meditation. And the second aspect, it clarifies our perception of it. And it's the clarity of perception or the clarity of knowing I know what this is, that cultivates or creates the condition for the strengthening and deepening of mindfulness. So the simple word that we can use, and we say this silently to ourselves, as your breath comes in, you just silently say, in. As your breath goes out, you silently say, out. Pretty simple. And some people prefer to use double labels, because the first label brings awareness to the object, the second one sustains it on it. So as the breath comes in, you could say, in, in. As the breath goes out, you could say, out, out. Very simple. Now, the important thing when you're using a label or a word to help train your attention is that you don't focus on the label, but instead you focus on what the label's pointing at. So when you say in for the in-breath, mentally feel the experience of that breath, wherever it is most clear to you. And when you say out, mentally feel that out breath wherever it is most clear to you. And that may be the experience of warmth or coolness with the changing breaths. It may be experience of touch, of pressure, of vibration, maybe movement, maybe the expansion and deflation of your body, maybe the relaxation with the out breath and the tightening with the in breath, whatever. You just keep these experience of the breath in mind. Use a label to remind yourself this is an in breath, this is an out breath. Of course, once your attention starts to develop, I recommend abandoning the labels. The labels are training wheels on your bicycle. Eventually, you need to learn to stay on the bicycle by yourself. Eventually, you need to find that balance of remembering yourself. And just with the bicycle, if you fall off, you just get back up, you hop on again, and eventually you'll learn to balance. So that's the aspect of developing mindfulness on the breath as it comes in and goes out. It's very similar to mindfulness of body or mindfulness of just sitting here. Actually, mindfulness of breathing is mindfulness of body still. Now, at some stage, you will forget what you're doing. So we can introduce a little label as well, just to help clarify where your attention's wandered to. And you can use simple labels such as wandering to describe when you've wandered, or maybe thinking. If there's a reoccurring thought, you could use planning, or remembering, or dreaming, or wondering, or whatever it is, just to separate your awareness from that thinking. Remembering, yeah? Planning, dreaming, whatever. First label to bring your awareness out of the distraction, the second one to clarify your perception of it. At this stage, use a slow softening breath. Slowly out, soften, relax into your body present. Relax at the end of the out breath And then start mindfulness of breathing by being aware of the breath as it draws in autonomously by itself. Now we begin again. In, out, wandering, back to the body, breathe out, relax and wait, softening breath, breath draws in, and we begin mindfulness of breathing again. And this is the dance, this is the game we play. Yeah? Just staying and remembering that breath. Now this will develop in 2 stages. The first stage will just be remembering this is an in-breath, this is an out-breath. And noticing whenever you forget it. You will forget it. Yeah, this is how we cultivate mindfulness, by noticing when we forget and putting effort into remembering our present experience and trying to notice the moment we forget again. This is not about suppressing our mind. This is about developing understanding of the true nature of our mind, the true nature of reality. So we're not trying to restructure our mind here. We're just checking in and seeing how it is. Gradually, as you settle down, your awareness will sustain with that breath. Now, don't follow the breath up and down like a bouncing ball. Just pick one point. If the breath is most clear at the tip of your nose, maybe here, maybe the top of the lip. Maybe you feel it more clearly in the chest and the shoulders. Maybe more clearly in the belly. Doesn't matter. Wherever it's most clear, stay on that point and just be aware of the breath as it passes that point, like that. And whatever sensations arise at that point. As the concentration develops, and if you notice restlessness, you can use some softening breaths to just relax that down. But as the concentration develops, start more to focus on the sensations of the breath rather than in-breath, out-breath. We still hold that knowing in mind, but instead of just that general movement of the breath, we start to experience the movement of the breath or the breath within our body in more detail. This is not something you force, this is something more that you relax into. And if you notice control, remember from last week, you notice control, you notice tightening in your breath. What do you do? What do? You take a softening breath, you breathe out, relax and wait for the breath to draw back in by itself. And this is the structure for this week's section on creating our mindfulness meditation, mindfulness of breathing practice. Awareness is just sitting here, sounds, flow, change into your body, warmth, coolness, touch, present, soften, relax into your body. On the next out breath at the end of the softening breath, relax and wait for the breath to draw in by itself. Relaxing any control in that breath. Feeling the breath flowing within your body, looking from a distance, like from the outside of your body, just that flow inside. And focusing on one point where the breath is most clear to you. Focusing on that aspect now, or remembering that aspect. This breath is coming in, it's going out. Quite simple. You can just do it now. See, just knowing in, knowing out. If you feel like you need support for your attention, we don't have to use labels, but if you do, that's okay. Just using a simple word silently to yourself to point your attention in, out, just quite simply, training your attention in this way. When you can do this quite comfortably, throw the labels away. No need to bring any more thinking in that's already there. If you wander off, drawn out to a sound, notice it, soften, relax, back to the breath. If you become lost within a thought, into a fantasy, a dream, you can acknowledge it by simply using a word such as wandering or thinking, planning, remembering, whatever it is. Back into your body, softening breath out, relax and wait. Mindful of the breath that comes in and out. As concentration develops, as you start to relax, you'll start to feel the different sensations flowing within the breath, and gradually, with each out breath, soften, relax into that breath, allowing awareness in the breath to start to come together, to settle together, to be present. Quite simple. Wonderful. Next week's instruction, we're going to take this mindfulness of breathing to a deeper level. Yeah. And we're going to really refine the cultivation of our attention. During this initial part of mindfulness of breathing, it's not really mindfulness practice as in mindfulness of our relationship towards what we're experiencing, but more the mindfulness practice of remembering this is what I'm doing now, and remembering this is what I am experiencing now. So we're creating a foundation from which eventually to be able to self-observe our relationship. But this time we just need to cultivate a bit of curiosity, very strong mindfulness, and some deeper concentration in order to settle our mind, to bring about clarity of awareness, so that later on we'll be able to clearly self-observe and observe the mind and the heart in its natural state. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care and have a wonderful day. And goodbye. Thank you. Thank you so much. Goodbye.